Have a great show, guys.
As you know, Play and Go recently partnered up with the MoneyGram Formula 1 team, MoneyGram Haas Formula 1 team, I should say. And we are all about entertainment in regulated environments, and that is very true for Formula 1 as well. So as part of that partnership, I have the pleasure now to introduce you to the drivers of MoneyGram Haas. But to make sure that you get the most out of it, I've also brought in some professional help to make it a little bit better. So without any further ado, please help me in welcoming Natalie Pinkham from Sky News and Nico Hülkenberg and Kevin Magnussen from the MoneyGram Haas Formula 1 team.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Where do you want us to go?
Yeah, I sit there.
Okay.
You want to be first?
Thank
I think
you.
you go first.
Thank you. Hello,
I
everyone.
go last.
All good?
Hey, Natalie.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very well indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't see the whites of your eyes. Is everyone good? I mean, are they white? Did you have a big night last night? Raise your hand if you had a big night last night.
Not
One.
many.
One honest person on the front row. I've heard a lot about the gaming industry. I know that you probably party harder than Formula One, do you think?
For sure.
Maybe.
We don't party anymore. It's become really
Oh,
dull.
come on, don't.
Kevin is always gone Sunday night. I fly 5 minutes after him, and then game over.
Even in Miami? Even in Miami?
Yeah, also in Miami.
Do you believe him? Do you believe them? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Well, look, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Massive thank you to Magnus and to Play and Go, and great to have you two alongside us as we go into another race weekend in Imola. And let's just start by reflecting on the season so far, because it feels as if you've really hit the ground running. Has performance, exceeded your own expectations, or did you come in quietly hopeful about 2024?
No, I think expectations were actually pretty low for this year before the season. We didn't have a great year last year, and especially towards the end of the year, we were dropping off from our competition. And we had this big upgrade at the end of the year that didn't work, and then development got halted for this year's car during that time. So we felt like we were falling behind, but did some pretty radical changes to the car and the philosophy of the design, and it seems to be working much better. Our big problem was in the races on Sunday we would drop off a lot. So on Saturday in qualifying we'd be pretty good, but then just not able to maintain the competitiveness in the race.
Just explain in layman's term why that was.
Well, I think technical. It's hard to really fully know exactly what was going on, but basically the tires were just dropping off. And why that is, what the root cause for that was is pretty complex, and I can't say that I fully know. But certainly this year's car is better in that regard, and we're more in line with our competitors in the races.
Now, talking of alignment, I feel like there are quite a few comparisons between your world and ours, and one of them is, of course, teamwork, which is crucial for the dynamism of any organization. And we saw great examples of this. I'm going to talk about Kevin like he's not here for a minute. We saw, for anyone who didn't see, Kevin fought tooth and nail for the team. I mean, borderline bit naughty.
You think so?
Little bit, but I didn't mind actually, and neither did think many of the fans, because you showed your real heart and your commitment to the team, and ultimately it was very worthwhile. What do you think, Nico, on that?
I thought it was great.
Of course you do. I think it deserves a round of applause, actually. I mean, listen, far be it from me to encourage bad behaviour, and I know you did get some penalties, but you also got a lot of endorsements, not least from Lewis Hamilton, who you were battling against. Were you surprised at his reaction?
Maybe a little bit. I thought I probably expected that he would be pretty pissed off, but he took it well, and he is a racer, so in some ways not surprised that he would look at it that way. Of course, it's not the usual way to go racing, and it's kind of, I don't think it's that normal for teammates in F1 to be helping each other out that much. But I think certainly the way I look at things right now is that the best I can do is look at our season from a team perspective, because I'm not, we're not fighting for the drivers' world championship, and frankly I don't really care if I'm P12 or P10 or whatever I'm finishing in the drivers' championship. It's kind of irrelevant if you're not one of the top drivers fighting for the top positions. So what is really becoming relevant is the constructors' championship, and there's a lot of prize money difference depending where you finish, and I think the best use that I can be for the team is to play that game. So that's.
Because let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if they were fighting for a world championship, it would be very different, wouldn't it? I mean, it's all smiles now. But just explain to us what happened in Jeddah and why. You obviously came out with a great result there as well. Just tell us about the dynamic between you both. Nico, just tell us.
You mean Jeddah? Like
Saudi? Well, no. When we saw the teamwork again from Kev.
That's quite a bit, but we were just at Miami. Yeah.
No, I mean going back another race, yeah. Because we've seen it, but there's been a bit of a common thread, hasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, things in the midfield for us are very tight. We're fighting with 4 or 5 other teams, and we're all very close to each other. So, there's always different plays of strategy, different tire sequences, how you run. Sometimes the safety car, has an impact, and yeah, sometimes, we have to play the team game and help each other out, because like Kevin says, it's for us, because we're not fighting for the Drivers' Championship, but we're fighting in the Constructors' Championship, and that is very relevant for us, very valuable for the team. So every point matters, and he covered my back there, and hopefully I can cover him back later in the year.
Are you going to call on the favour? Be like, come on, buddy.
He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. It goes hand in hand. I think, we're old and wise enough, and we understand what it is about, so that's the good thing.
Well, all that experience, I'm just going to bring it back to home for a moment, because all of that experience and wisdom, you are both fathers now, and this is why the partying, if we're honest, this is why the partying's calmed down, ladies and gentlemen, because they're both very mature, responsible adults now. Tell us how fatherhood has changed things for you, Nico.
Yeah, it did. I mean, in a racing context, not so much, to be honest, because when you put the helmet on, when the visor goes down and the race starts, your head is kind of empty. You forget sometimes even that you have a family, because you just live in the moment and you're so focused that that's not there. But obviously, being a parent, it changes your life quite a lot, and you will understand and know that if you have parents yourself. But really enjoy it. It's probably centered me more, made me focus more, on the relevant or very important things. Cut out the non so important things that you have more time for when you're not a parent. So yeah, it's very much focused now on family and racing, but it works out quite well and feels good too.
And presumably, you now come to a race for a good sleep. Not during, not during the race, but the race weekend.
You know this because you do it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
exactly. Come to Malta, have a nice sleep in a hotel.
Right, exactly. No, it does. My kids are good now, but it's certainly in the first year or so, it's tough with the sleeping. But honestly, we're so jet lagged most of the year anyway, so it's sometimes it's better at home. But yeah, it's as Nico says, I think it's been a positive. He talked about the values and the priorities, and it's Formula One can be a all-consuming thing in a driver's life, and I think having something that really pulls you, sort of breaks that bond, so it kind of makes it a little less. It sounds maybe negative, but it's a little less relevant or a little less important, which makes it easier to deal with, and the pressure is is probably a little bit less and more relaxed about it, because there is just something that is way more important at home.
And presumably that means you can draw a line under a potentially bad weekend and move forward much quicker, because you...
It
Puts
helps, yeah.
things
It helps
in
coming home
perspective.
from a bad weekend and you have Minnie smiling at you. Makes it all forgotten for a bit.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
just lifts your mood.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you touched on jet lag. This is something that I get asked all the time about traveling around the world. 24 races. I mean, that is a huge amount. It's a record-breaking amount of races this year in Formula One. How on earth do you cope, both physically and mentally, in preparing for the race, Nico? And
Well,
every race weekend, I mean, week in, week out.
Yeah, I mean, we're human, so jet lag, it is real, and sometimes it hits you harder, sometimes less. But
A little less if you're on a PJ, or? I'm joking.
not
Give
so
them a
many
break,
not so many
give them a break.
PJs these days. Especially
Pyjamas.
I mean, the overseas races, no PJ for sure. But we have to be physically fit. I think generally people don't understand from the outside how physical it is to race a Formula One car, and it's difficult, I think, to understand that if you haven't felt 5G and what it means, what it does to your body, and how fit you have to be to sustain that for 2 hours. So obviously the time difference.
What does it do? Just tell us how it
Well,
feels.
it just drains you. It just you get tired, you're fatigued. It's like wrestling with someone for 2 hours and you get pushed and pulled, the whole time, and it's just wearing you down. And that's what we train for, obviously. And physical races are usually when it's very hot, like Miami. This weekend, Imola, not so much. But it is a sitting sport, but it's still pretty demanding.
And in terms of the mental, how difficult is it to sort of, again, put Miami behind you in terms of the penalties that you accumulated, and just focus the mind again on what you know? I mean, Imola actually is a racetrack you've done very well at in the past. You got points there last year. So how do you sort of shift the mindset to this weekend?
I think it comes quite naturally. It's this has been my life ever since I can remember. So there's always, I've always been either at a race or between a race. It's never. It's just life. So last weekend was not a good week, but I think by now, I'm able to move on from things and just look forward to the next one, and actually be looking forward to it, and be positive about it, and just easily put things behind. It's no big deal.
And does it help that you're going to a track that you have got a good track record at?
I think by now I've learned that the history doesn't really matter. I had a good race last time I was in Miami too, and before this year, so that didn't really mean a lot.
You had a great one.
Yeah,
you had a great quali, didn't you?
I can't remember if it was 23 or 22, but there was none of that existing this year. So
Yeah.
It was.
You always have to work for it again.
Yeah.
That it was good last year doesn't mean it's going to be good again.
That's interesting, actually, because we talk about that a lot in football as well. You're only as good as your last game. That you don't.
Same on TV, no? You
Wow.
also have to do a great job every week in, week out.
No pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true, isn't it? It's true of life, and I'm sure it's true of your industry as well, that people have short memories, and they constantly need to be reminded of your commitment and of your discipline, your work ethic, and everything else. Now, contrasting to Kev's record at Imola, you don't have a record at Imola. You've never raced in Formula One there. That's crazy.
Not just in F1, I've never raced there altogether. Somehow my junior time never took me to Imola. So, white piece of paper. No bad record yet, so hopefully going to set a good one.
So how do you feel about that, and how do you learn the track? Obviously, you do a lot of sim work, and is it fairly easy to get to grips with the new track?
Yeah, that's what we train to do, and it happens very often in your career that you come to a new circuit and you learn it. I have done some simulator work a few weeks ago there. I have watched some onboards. That always helps me a lot, watching onboards from previous years to understand the track, the curbs a little bit. And then obviously the real deal is when you drive out in P1 and after a couple of runs, the track should be learned.
Do you play the F1 game? Does that actually help? Or just a bit of fun?
I did a little bit now, this one, but not a lot.
You go to a circuit like Imola, it's obviously steeped in history. It's an evocative track. It's seen triumph and tragedy. Does that have any bearing on how you approach things? When you couple with that the fact that we're going back to Europe, Because we've been to all these flyaways, these exotic places, and it feels like we're coming back to the heart of racing when we come back to Europe.
I think the big thing about coming back to Europe is just it makes the life that you have during this part of the season is much easier with the less travels and no jet lag. We're going to Canada next time, so a little bit of jet lag there. But then the rest of the European season is just easier on your life, and you get to enjoy a bit more time at home. I live in Denmark, and I get to spend a lot more time there during this time of year. So it's like a bit of a bliss. I look forward to this part of the year. But it's also a lot of my favorite tracks are in Europe, so a lot of things to look forward to.
We need a track in Malta, don't we? Be good, wouldn't it? I'm not sure there's space, but we do love coming to these.
Magnus?
Yes.
What do you think?
I'll take care of it.
It's done. It's done. I want to talk a bit about the management structure at Haas, because we heard from Io yesterday, Io's anthems. I'll come on to that in a minute. We've seen a shift in terms of management style. The geeks are prevailing because they all seem to come from an engineering background now. Apart from Toto Wolff and Christian Horner, every other boss of a team is an engineer, which is pretty cool. How is Io different to Gunther? Maybe slightly less swearing.
Very different look. Two different height, different everything. He's
Does the team feel different?
Yes and no. I mean, if you have a team principal role change, it's obviously quite significant and central role, and he has quite a different management style, different persona. So, yeah, it definitely does feel different. But then again, at the end of the day, we also work very closely with our mechanics, our engineers. And that area then is not so impacted.
And of course, he has been at the team for a long time. Tell us about that relationship that Nico touched on there, the relationship with your engineer, how important that is.
Well, your race engineer is the first guy in the queue of people that you work with, and he's your first point of contact with everything we do with the car. He's the first guy we talk to, and then you have a couple of other people who are sort of also you have three people that you basically work very closely with during the race week, and they're sitting next to you. It's your race engineer, and then your performance engineer and systems engineer. So those are the guys you talk to, but your race engineer is the leader of your car. He's the boss of the whole group on your car. So very important that he understands your language and what you mean when you explain different things. We're not always so academic in our language. I guess we're getting better by now, but sometimes we can be talking feelings, and sometimes engineers don't understand feelings. They want facts and numbers, and
racing drivers are very sensitive actually.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I've seen it in the pen.
Right.
Yeah. So it's crucial to have a good relationship, and actually, Magnus, we've talked about that a lot within your industry as well, the importance of good relationships and the importance of good markets as well. The US is clearly a massive market for you guys. Yep. We now have 3 races there, yes, which is great, and I want to hear your thoughts on those 3 races in a second. What has been your takeaways? You obviously came to Vegas and Miami, and we go to Texas. Culturally, 3 very different places. It's a reminder just how big the US is. I mean, what were your takeaways?
First of all, partnering with MoneyGram Haas is the only North American team in Formula One. And that was important for us, because the US market is a growth market and the future for iGaming for sure. The races, I think, the North American races, the hospitality is great. So for us as a partner, it makes a lot of sense to spend time on those races and to be able to show our customers and our partners this whole new world of Formula One for many of them, and to be able to give things like this, and also that type of experience and entertainment. It goes very much hand in hand with everything we stand for. So and yeah, again, North America and having the North American team as our partner, that was very, very important for us.
They certainly know how to put on a show. So do you have a favourite? I'm going to ask you to put Vegas, Austin and Miami on the podium. Who's on the top step?
from our perspective, as on the hospitality in Vegas was very good. Same in Miami. Logistics, not so much. I would say Austin. It's also MoneyGram Haas home turf. So, and that by it becomes our home turf as well. So, Austin, Vegas, Miami.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Put them on your bucket list right now. Do you have a favorite?
Of those three?
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually liked the track in Vegas. The whole weekend was pretty strange, but the track was cool.
Well, we went on to a really strange time zone, didn't we? Because and literally people were falling asleep in the garage, in the car, in the office. It's kind of wild.
It was wild. Natalie, your time's up. Sorry.
That's your
You
time
asked me
up.
to point out to you. Time's
You
up.
did, you did. He's my timekeeper. Did you enjoy Vegas?
I did. Like you say, it was a bit cold that time of the year. That didn't feel great because it was really very fresh. But the race, I think it was the best race of the season last year on TV and even inside the car. It was a lot of fun. But all three Americans, I mean, it's really hard to choose a favorite. Austin is amazing and it's kind of the original American race, at least in my era of Formula One. I love Miami. The vibe is just brilliant and unique with the stadium and everything and the palms and the climate. And Vegas is Vegas, so yeah, they're all great.
Now, Nico is right. Our time is up, but it's just a chance for me to have one last question to you guys because we got Ayo's anthems. And this was a brilliant playlist from Ayo Komatsu, their boss, about the music that he enjoyed. And it was eclectic, to say the least.
Yeah, so we have Play and Go music, as you know, and we've asked Ayo, Kevin, and Nico, and also the Haas team to create their own playlists that are available on Spotify, and you should check them out. We had a great chat with Ayo yesterday evening about his going from Beethoven to Sex Pistols, so, that was a kind of a wide range.
No Japanese pop in there?
Very little.
Very little.
Yeah, surprisingly. But almost everything else, I would say.
I mean, I love
So
that.
I would like to know, the playlist you guys create, is that music that you use to get pumped up for a race, or is it to kick back and relax at home?
Surely you remember all the songs on that playlist, right?
Yes, of course I do.
Children's nursery rhymes? Or?
There would be a lot of Peppa Pig songs.
But in terms of music and it actually getting you into a bit of a zone, do you do that before a race?
I don't so much. I use it more away from the track for sport. But to be honest, at our home, there's always music running in the background on the TV, on the speaker. Yeah, personally, I'm a huge The Weeknd fan. You find that quite a lot on my playlist. Stuff like Swedish House Mafia.
I love it.
You a bit more rocky, I think.
I'm a bit more classic rock type guy.
Yeah.
You know, Led Zeppelin, those types of things. Yeah.
It's good insight, isn't it, to their characters and to the racing.
All right.
Great.
I think time is up, but it's been saying that for a while now.
Yeah. It's like, shut up, Natalie. But thank you so much,
thank
Magnus.
you very much, guys.
It's
And,
great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank
you,
you.
Nico. Thank you. Thank you.
And good luck
Thanks.
over the weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.